MSc students are also joining, and they will also write the industrial visit report because we are giving credit to their internal marks. So the event will start in a short period. I request all of you to maintain silence, and questions you can write down in the chat box. Our teacher will answer queries after the talk is over. Okay?
Madam, what is the name of resource person, please? And that industrial person?
Dr. Jaiprakash Parihar. Dr. Jaiprakash Parihar.
Okay. Correct.
All SO and TY students will write down the report, whatever you can understand. And we are there to help you out, but at least make an attempt to write the report. And even FIBC, I would request you also write down, though it is not a part of the syllabus, but it will be a experience for us. It is a new experience for all of us. And we are fortunate that Dr. Parihar has agreed to guide us in this pandemic situation.
Absolutely.
Continue.
Sir has joined. Parihar sir.
I'm calling him.
Okay. Let him join. Then we can start. No, we have.
Yeah. Even principal sir and MSc के बच्चे कितने हैं देखो?
I will check.
Sandeep. Dr. Sandeep.
Principal sir has joined, madam.
Yeah. I talked to Jaiprakash. Actually, it is scheduled at 11 o'clock, na? So within 5 minutes, he's joining.
Okay, let him
Our
join.
IV is scheduled at 11 a.m. So within 5 minutes, he will join and then we will start. Please ask your friends also to join, especially SY and TY students. It is a part of the syllabus. Attendance will be taken. And those who don't attend the IV and also don't write the report in the notebook, that is your journal, we are going to give you a PowerPoint presentation. Some activity has to be done. So whatever you like, you do. Whether you do PowerPoint presentation or write the industrial visit report, it is up to you. So those who are not joined, ask them to join. You are not paying anything for this IV. Okay? It is TY BSc Rohan has not joined. Rohan. Namita Rohan has not joined. Okay. Within 5 minutes, our resource person is joining and we will start.
Navle sir has joined, ma'am.
Navle sir, he was about to join. Huh?
And Shweta, Azra.
Azra ko dekha hai maine. Azra is there.
And
Shweta is also supposed to join within 10 minutes.
Sir, I'm there, ma'am.
okay, no problem.
Okay, Shweta is there. Azra ko bhi dekha tha. Sana ko I don't know. Sana is there.
You have sent the link to sir, na? Parihar sir.
Yeah, he is joining. उसे मुझे 10:50 का टाइम दिया था that I'm joining at 10:50.
Actually, we have scheduled the meeting as early because
11 o'clock का है अपना.
we have started the meeting at 10:30 because everybody should join and we'll be ready for that.
By the time he joins and principal sir joins, everybody should be there.
Yeah, that's it.
Hello, Sandeep.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Sandeep.
Yes, ma'am.
Dr. Sandeep.
Yes, ma'am. I can listen. I can hear you.
Hello.
Yes, ma'am. I can hear you.
ओ
Hello.
जयप्रकाश को थोड़ा टाइम लग रहा है, शायद नेटवर्क इश्यू है वहां पे. He's in Bharuch.
Okay.
It is taking time. He told me that it is taking time to join.
Okay, we'll wait, ma'am. We'll wait. You have called to him, ma'am.
My goodness.
Maru madam, hello. Maru madam, hello. Maru madam, please unmute yourself. Sir has joined. Maru madam,
हाँ हाँ
sir has joined. Sir has joined.
हाँ 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 मैं उनसे ही बात कर रही थी.
He is facing the problem that some
या
error.
नेटवर्क इश्यू है वहाँ पे कुछ है ना वो. हाँ प्लीज स्टार्ट.
Jayaprakash sir, good morning.
Dr. Jaiprakash, good morning. Can you hear us? Dr. Jaiprakash? उनका ऑडियो तो चालू है. Dr. Jaiprakash, can you hear us? शायद उनको आवाज नहीं जा रही है हमारी.
एक मिनट.
डॉक्टर परिहार.
हेलो.
हाँ मैम. Yes yes.
हाँ
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 yes yes. Okay good.
हाँ संदीप स्टार्ट करो.
नहीं नहीं परिहार सर. जयप्रकाश सर.
डॉक्टर
मैम
जयप्रकाश.
उनको अभी तक कनेक्ट हो रहे वो अभी तक हुए नहीं कनेक्ट.
ओके ओके ओके.
हेलो.
हाँ सर. हेलो सर. We can hear you sir.
हेलो डॉक्टर जयप्रकाश. वापस मीटिंग छोड़ा ना उन्होंने.
वो नेटवर्क इशू होगा ना तो.
कभी कभी कनेक्टिविटी इशू होता है. कनेक्टिविटी
कल तो अच्छे से हो गया था. हम लोग ने जब लिया था तभी मॉक लिया तभी अच्छे से हो गया था. आई डोंट नो व्हाट इज द प्रॉब्लम टुडे. अभी वापस ज्वाइन कर गया. आई एम कॉलिंग हिम.
संदीप सर.
हाँ यस सर.
काय कधी कधी चालू मीटिंग मध्ये पण डिस्कनेक्ट होतं. माझं काल मीटिंग मध्ये ऑटोमॅटिक डिस्कनेक्ट झालं. परत मला लॉग इन करावं लागलं.
That is true.
अच्छा 2 मिनिट. रोहन आर यू देयर? रोहन.
Yes, sir.
रोहन. विवेक निशिता.
Yes, sir.
हाँ और पंक्ति.
Yes, sir, I'm there.
आदित्य कुडे. आदित्य कुडे.
તમારો ફોન આવ્યો.
आपको सबको बाद में फीडबैक देना है. हाँ ओके.
संदीप उनका नेटवर्क का इश्यू है तो उनको क्या गाइड करूं मैं. व्हाट शुड आई टेल हिम.
क्या करेंगे मैम अभी. वी आर हेल्पलेस. उनको मैंने मैसेज पे 2-3 बार रिप्लाई दिया कि सर आप इंस्ट्रूमेंट को ऑफ करके ऑन करो.
हाँ वही बोलना था.
या
वो कल कुछ प्रॉब्लम नहीं था. आज कैसे हो गया. आई डोंट नो.
उनको थोड़ा दूसरे इंस्ट्रूमेंट से भी ज्वाइन करने के लिए मैंने मैसेज डाला था. एटलीस्ट मोबाइल से ज्वाइन.
मोबाइल से ज्वाइन करो. मोबाइल
या
से
मैंने
ज्वाइन करो.
आई हैव मैसेज हिम कि यू ज्वाइन बाय डिफरेंट इंस्ट्रूमेंट और डिफरेंट मोबाइल.
हाँ हाँ
इट स्टार्टेड, मुझे लगता है ना सबको ना वीडियो ऑफ करना पड़ेगा एक्चुअली।
यस सर सर हैज ज्वाइन। मारू मैडम,
हाँ,
सर हैज ज्वाइन।
ओके।
मैम उनको बोलेंगे कि आपका वीडियो ऑफ करो, बिकॉज कभी कभी वीडियो से
हाँ, उन्होंने वही बोला मुझे।
ब्रॉडबैंड ज्यादा लगता है।
डॉक्टर जयप्रकाश, वीडियो ऑफ कर दो अपना।
ओनली यू कैन स्पीक, ओनली योर ऑडियो शुड बी ऑन।
हाँ, लेकिन शायद उनको मेरी आवाज नहीं जा रही है। डॉक्टर जयप्रकाश, संदीप उनको मैसेज भेजो कि वीडियो बंद करो अपना।
कर रहे हैं। Again he left.
नेटवर्क का ही प्रॉब्लम है।
मैडम एक बार उनको कॉल करके एक बार पूछ लो कि एग्जैक्टली उनको क्या प्रॉब्लम जा रहा है।
वो बोले मैंने हर एक कोशिश करके देखा है, मोबाइल से भी देखा है, लैपटॉप से भी देखा है। ही सेड अभी मैंने 3 बार कॉल किया उनको। Hello, Sandeep.
Yes, ma'am. I have put up the message.
हाँ.
He's saying from mobile also he's facing the problem. Mobile
नहीं,
also not
हम
connected.
लोग पूरा टाइम वेट करेंगे, 11:15 तक वेट करेंगे, अदरवाइज हम लोग टाइम चेंज करते हैं. मे बी संडे है, मॉर्निंग है, बहुत सारे लोग यूज कर रहे होंगे, नेट इश्यू वहां पे है ही. अदरवाइज वी विल गिव सम अनदर टाइम. हाँ, ही इज ज्वाइनिंग. और शायद पार्टिसिपेंट भी ज्यादा है ना, उसके लिए भी नेटवर्क का इश्यू होता होगा. डॉक्टर जयप्रकाश, कैन यू हियर मी?
I can hear you. Can you all hear my voice?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Good morning.
Okay. So
Good morning.
Good morning. Extremely sorry.
Good morning.
Sir,
Yeah.
not an issue. You keep your video off so that you will get the better broadwidth, sir.
No, Sandeep, I have basically switch off my video actually.
Good, sir.
Because-
Now we can start, sir.
Okay. So
संदीप, जरा प्रिंसिपल सर को भी बुला लो.
He is there, ma'am. He is in the meeting. Principal,
Okay.
sir, unmute yourself.
Everybody will mute themselves.
Principal, sir.
सर ने नहीं है अभी, अच्छा लगता है. He is not there. We have to call him.
Hello, Principal, sir. I will put up the message to him.
हाँ, मैसेज दे दो कि we are joining. जल्दी स्टार्ट करो, नेटवर्क का इश्यू हो रहा है. Let Dr. Jayaprakash speak with our students.
And sir can come and sir can say
Yes.
later on also.
हाँ, संदीप स्टार्ट कर दो.
Can we start, ma'am?
Yes.
so from my side, you want to start, then I will start directly.
No, sir. We'll start the beginning, then you can start. Okay.
Okay.
Dear student, we'll begin our session. Respected Principal Professor Dr. S.C. Rathod, Head of Chemistry Department, Dr. Urmila Maru, today's guest, Dr. Jayaprakash Parihar, Vice President, R&D Section, Alchem Laboratories Limited, all my colleagues and dear students from both undergraduate and postgraduate, on behalf of Bhavan Sazari Masumani College and Chemistry Department, I welcome you all in this virtual industrial visit. As all of you know, all of you aware, due to this COVID-19 pandemic, offline industrial visit is totally impossible, and industrial visit is a part of our practical syllabus. So today, on virtual mode, we'll get the exposure of industry and R&D work going on the pharmaceutical industry. Today, we are very lucky that Dr. Jayaprakash Parihar sir is with us, and he was ready to conduct the session, and we are very much thankful to him for accepting our invitation and to conduct the session. And our student definitely benefited this industrial visit, and the knowledge shared by sir will definitely help the student. Now, with this background, I would like to request Dr. Urmila Maru madam to introduce Dr. Jayaprakash Parihar sir, and then sir will start the session. Urmila Maru madam, over to you, ma'am.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Sandeep. It is indeed my great pleasure to introduce today's resource person, Dr. Jayaprakash Parihar, who is an eminent scientist and researcher. I have used the word eminent scientist and researcher because I have seen Dr. Parihar working in the research lab during my tenure of PhD. I would like to justify myself by providing his bio note as follows. Dr. Jayaprakash Parihar has done his BSc in chemistry from RKT College, Ulhasnagar, his MSc from Birla College, Kalyan, and PhD from Department of Chemistry, University of Mumbai. He is awarded UGC JRF and UGC SRF. He qualified GATE conducted by Indian Institute of Science and IIT. He qualified NET and SET for lecturership. Dr. Parihar has 13 publications in national and international journals. To name a few, Tetrahedral Letters, Chinese Journal of Chemistry, Journal of Brazilian Chemical Society, Asian Journal of Chemistry. He has to his credit 27 national and international patents. Dr. Parihar has vast experience of 18 years working in reputed pharmaceutical industries such as Pharmazel Private Limited, Cadila Healthcare Limited, Norbrook Laboratories Limited, United Kingdom, Lupin Limited, Degussa India Private Limited, GSK Pharmaceutical Limited, Cipla India Private Limited. At present, Dr. Jaiprakash Parihar is working as Vice President, Head, Research and Development in Alchem Laboratories Limited, where he has responsibility of doing total administration of research and development with an integrated team of 87 scientists for developing efficient, environmental friendly and cost effective manufacturing process of APIs intermediates. We are fortunate to have with us Dr. Jaiprakash Parihar as a resource person. Now I request Dr. Parihar to begin with the talk. Over to you, sir.
Thank you very much, Urmila Madam, Dr. Sandeep. I'm really thankful for inviting me for this interaction. So I will actually, directly start actually discussion with giving some background, basically what we do in the research and development lab. What happened actually when I basically I am taking care of API research and development. So what is the API? When we manufacture drug product, let us see language ingredients in one is basically active ingredient, which is normally called as API, active pharmaceutical ingredients, and other is basically inactive ingredients. So the substance which is responsible for that cure of disease is normally called active pharmaceutical ingredients. Sometimes it is called as a drug substance also. Many times our colleagues will hear that terminology also. So my is basically involved manufacturing active pharmaceutical ingredients. Whatever active pharmaceutical ingredients we make, that goes for basically formulation development, which is sometimes called as a drug product. And what we get from the market or what the patient consumes is basically drug product. So there are two things. One, drug substance, sometimes it is called as active pharmaceutical ingredients. Another part is formula. So this is the important things before I start actually talking. Now, when we develop actually active pharmaceutical ingredients, what happens actually to the entire process? That process basically briefly summarized this displayed here. Again, it starts with the product selection. If you see on the top of that circle, it's a product selection. So what medicine or what drug you would like to develop in your organization, that is basically product selection. It's a business decision actually. And you know, this is the start of any development. Later, basically, when the product is selected, then go for literature search. What is known so far technically in on that particular product, that basically information, all informations are collected, and based on that you basically propose some kind of route of synthesis or say scheme by which you would like to develop molecule. Once the scheme is designed or route is designed, then it starts with the raw material procurement. Raw material procurement, after that developed in the laboratory. So the most important aspect is basically here, the process and analytical development. This is the most important aspect of basically entire product development. And our go back one slide actually, please. So what happens actually in that, what we do is basically all work is done in the laboratory. once the process and analytical development is completed, then what happens? It should be proven by data in the lab. So that is called as a consistency batches. So once the formula is ready, then it need to be proven by data. It need to be shown the consistency that yes, whatever design is made, it is capable of producing consistently, because it's important. Once the process consistency is completed, so lab work is complete. Now it goes basically for scale up. Typically, this part, the process consistency and the lab work basically are performed on, let us say, milligram to gram scale, sometimes multi-gram scale. After that, it goes for basically this is typically some case to scale. Sometimes it is made on multi-ton scale. So whatever the consistency, whatever lab formula is derived, that is basically scaled up, and the data are generated to make sure that it is giving the similar profile. Now, after manufacturing, what happens? After manufacturing, it is very important to prove the stability. Means whatever we are making, the patient will consume after, let us say, sometime after 2-3 years, because it goes for product development. I was mentioning the formulation, converting into tablet or capsule, and then it goes into market, then patient will take from the market. So it's a long process. So in that, the material has to be stable. So that stability studies are performed, and once the stability is performed, then it is filed in form of dossier, which is called drug master file. So it goes to regulatory authorities, and when they give approval, then you enter into market. It's a very brief process. I just wanted to summarize so that we know basically what are the major steps involved. Doctor, please go on the next slide. Yes. Now, I have mostly been talking with work in the lab. Now, I have said directly because it will be difficult to understand. Now, what happens actually when it comes into lab for development? What are the 3 major aspects of the development? The 3 major criteria which need to be looked at. The first aspect is basically whatever we are producing, it should be the quality product. Because the medicines are consumed by the patient. Once it is consumed by patient, so they need to be given medicine which is a quality product. It is a free of impurities. I will talk in a later. Hello.
Yes,
hello.
Carry on.
Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
So because the safety, because when we make medicine on ton scale or kg scale, then the safety becomes very important because most of the chemicals are basically pyrophoric and they are hazardous in nature. So the safety becomes very important aspect. And the third aspect actually is basically cost. Whatever medicines are produced, they need to be cheaper so that the patients, even the poor countries, everybody is accessible to medicine. So these are 3 important aspects. Second, if you have to sustain in the market, the cost is also very important. So what are the 3 aspects? The major criteria of development is basically safety, quality, and the cost. Now, considering 3 major aspects, how the scientists approach in the lab, that is I have tried to explain by taking the case study. Everybody knows paracetamol. Now, there are multiple routes for manufacturing, or let us call for synthesizing paracetamol. one route actually which is described here. Now, we can the paranitrophenol, so the pure paranitrophenol and different techniques are used to get use. Now, if the scientist has to evaluate this route with respect to safety, quality, and the cost, then here it may not be feasible. The reason is why, actually, I will try to explain. The first, actually, it should be rejected because of safety concern. Now, if you can see the phenol, it is the aromatic phenol ring, ring is highly activated because of this OH, because it is a because of that resonance effect, that benzene ring is highly activated. Now, when you do nitration, it generates nitronium ion, and it is a highly reaction. You guys are working in the lab laboratory on small scale for mainly nitrobenzene to metadinitrobenzene. When you do nitration of electron-rich compound, it's a highly unsafe process. It can go multi-nitration, and it could be difficult to handle at plant scale. So first aspect, it does not meet the criteria of safety because it is a highly unsafe to you can do the nitration of compounds where it is a deactivated. Let us say it should be deactivated by, let us say, carboxylic acid or nitro group. So it is not that rich because nitronium is a very nasty liquefier. The second aspect, actually, the cost also comes here actually because it uses sodium borohydride. When we study during college time, we just write sodium borohydride, but it's a very expensive. Considering paracetamol which is available in actually, for that using sodium borohydride reagent, it may not be economic. So these two aspects, actually, this route will be not selected for the manufacturing purpose. It looks good for academic purpose, but on manufacturing purpose, it does not serve the purpose. So very important aspect, the safety, quality. It can meet the aspect of quality, but it does not meet the aspect of safety and cost. So therefore, we, the scientists, will not pursue this route for exploration. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. Yes. Now come to second route, actually. This route basically starts with nitrobenzene and in acidic medium, what is the role of sulfuric acid here? So what happens nitrobenzene to hydroxylamine? It consumes 1 mole of hydrogen, and it converts into hydroxylamine. Now what happens when you have proton? What happens? It forms basically nitrogen ion by losing the molecule, and it attacks from the 4 position. So when water attacks from the 4 position, here basically this is how basically this hydroxy group is coming at 4 position. So important aspect, it starts with nitrobenzene. Now the important aspect, how it is done? The first mole is consumed, and after that it forms NaOH. That NaOH, it gets protonated, it forms NaOH2, then it loses water molecule, forms nitronium, and once it forms nitronium, the 4 position of aromatic becomes very active, and then water attack from there. Once water attack from there, it comes OH. It's a very interesting synthesis, and it is very cheap also. So now here we have 4-hydroxy aniline or 4-aminophenol. 4-aminophenol typically it should be required. and after acetylation, it forms paracetamol. Now, again, we have to evaluate this with respect to safety, quality, and the cost. Now, it starts with nitrobenzene. It's a cheap material, considering basically phenol. So phenol is not is relatively expensive than nitrobenzene. Now here the catalytic hydrogenation. Again, of course, the catalytic hydrogenations are exothermic reactions, but they can be controlled in a much better way. And then it forms basically 4-aminophenol. Now here there are no basically expensive reagents. The catalyst, the palladium or the platinum, they can be recovered. So it can be recovered for n number of cycles. So though it is expensive, but it can be recovered. Whereas in earlier scheme, the sodium borohydride cannot be recovered. So these are basically heterogeneous catalysts. Simply after catalytic hydrogenation, the catalyst is separated by filtration, normal filtration, and that catalyst can be washed and reused. So it can be reused for multiple times. So therefore, this synthesis becomes attractive. So the chemist, the process chemist, will basically more attracted towards this route actually for development. So it's a feasible. Why? Because it is a cheaper and at the same time it's relatively safe to operate. So I think these are the basically I just discussed with the case study. This is how basically the scientists will work in the lab. Now, very important aspect actually. Whatever is manufactured, how you measure the quality. The quality is the most important aspect. As I said, the drug substance goes into body of patient, and therefore it is a duty of all development scientists and the manufacturing companies to make sure that whatever drugs are manufactured, they are quality products. Now, how you measure the quality product actually here? There are certain tests. So whatever are made drugs or the API, they basically go through rigorous testing. The some tests are basically discussed here. Appearance. Appearance means what basically is it solid? Most of the drugs are basically APIs are normally solid. Some are basically known to be liquid. So appearance means it is a solid or liquid. At the same time, what is the color? Most of the APIs are mostly white to off-white, but there are many APIs which are colored in nature. So the appearance becomes basically the first test basically for quality evaluation. The second is basically identification. Means if I manufacture paracetamol, how do I know it is a paracetamol? We have to make sure that it is a paracetamol and not something different. So that is basically ensured by identification. Identification tests basically are done by doing rigorous NMR studies, the mass studies, and after that, for routine release of batches, the IR are performed. So the complete characterization takes place. Suppose we have manufactured paracetamol, then whatever material is synthesized or manufactured, they will be recorded for HNMR, they will be recorded for carbon NMR, they will be recorded for 2D NMRs, they will be recorded for mass, and after ensuring that it is a paracetamol, it will go for manufacturing. And the routine batches will be ensured by IR. So the identification is mainly done by IR, and the next part is the solubility. What is the solubility of drug? So here, every material, every drug substance will have typical solubility. In some solvent, it is insoluble. In some solvent, it will be insoluble. So that it becomes very important because for formulation development, because it goes in human body. So for formulation development, it becomes very important aspect, solubility. After that, the most important aspects are basically impurity profile. The assay. When I say assay, assay means, for example, how much the actual paracetamol present in that material is basically assay. So typically assays are normally 98 to 102. So it should meet that criteria. That is basically ICH guideline. So actually how much paracetamol is present, that is basically tested by assay. The residual solvents. Any manufacturing process utilizes multiple solvents, many solvents. They are used for the performing reactions. They are used for doing extraction operations. They are used for filtration operations. Sometimes they are used for distillation. Now, all these solvents need to be controlled by a guideline, ICH guideline. They have typical values basically. So what are the major impurities? Like impurity profile, they basically include organic impurities, and assay the actual net content, what is actually present, the net content in the substance, and the residual is basically volatile organic solvents. They are basically covered by, they are basically controlled by this. The specification of drug substance should meet regulatory guidelines. There are ICH, International Conference of Harmonization. There is basically combined agencies, and they are basically controlled by their guidelines. For example, when we control impurity profile, the limit of known impurities is 0.15%. And if you have unknown impurity in your drug substance, then it is a 0.10. Please see how important quality is basically. So all impurities need to be controlled by 0.10 for unknown. Some impurities will not be known, and known impurity should be controlled by 0.15%. So, and for residual solvents, there are different limits for different solvents. Next slide, actually, we will discuss what kind of impurities are present. As I was saying, the impurity profile. What is the impurity profile? As I was saying, if it is a paracetamol, then that paracetamol, what is synthesized, is likely to have impurities like process impurities. Process impurities means the impurities which are generated during performing the process. They can be starting material, like in that case, it was nitrobenzene. It can be intermediate, hydroxylamine. We saw this first step forms hydroxylamine, and then 4-aminophenol. It could be the degradation product. So degradation product I will discuss later. So the degradation impurities. All impurities basically the structures, as I said, actually they will be consumed. The drug product, the medicine will be consumed by patient sometime maybe after 2-3 years. Whatever. Okay, so whatever APIs are made, they will be converted into drug product. It will go into the market, and then patient will consume. This cycle is quite a big cycle, and therefore degradation impurities becomes very important. So whatever paracetamol is synthesized, how stable it is, what are the degradation impurities on storage and maybe the transport, because it goes from one area to other area. In summer, the temperature goes 45 degrees, 40 degrees. So what happens? What kind of degradation impurities are possible? So that is covered by, that is basically monitored by degradation impurities. Next is the elemental impurities. We saw in the route 2, the platinum is used. Sometimes people will use palladium. So that is the elemental impurities. What are the elements are involved? So platinum, typically for paracetamol, then platinum becomes the elemental impurities. Residual impurities. I was saying basically the process involves multiple solvents. Let us say for example, if for purification alcohol is used, then alcohol becomes a residual solvent. If you use acetone for the reaction media, acetone becomes residual solvents. So they need to be controlled. These are the type of impurities present in the drug substance. And whatever drug substance is manufactured, we have to prove by data that all our drug substance is free of all these kind of impurities. And they are controlled by standard values. They have all threshold and they cannot exceed that. Next slide, please. So, I was discussing process impurities. Process impurities are basically from raw material, reagents, intermediates, or byproduct. So that is basically again discussing the same slide. Now, I would like to basically, Doctor, can you go into route 2 so that I will try to explain what are the process impurities and what are degradation impurities in the route of synthesis? Yes, like this. Yes, yes, perfect. Now, if I have to classify what are the So if I have to classify what are the basically process impurities, what are the degradation impurities, then I will try to identify this. Now nitrobenzene, what I was saying, the process impurity, that means all raw materials, intermediates and byproducts, they are process impurities. So nitrobenzene qualify as a process impurity. It's a starting material and it qualifies as a process impurity. The hydroxylamine, it's an intermediate. Again, it's an intermediate. It qualifies as a basically process impurity. Next, 4-aminophenol. Again, it's an intermediate and it qualifies as a process impurity. Next step, then this is a basically drug substance. Now for acetylation, we will use acetic anhydride or acetyl chloride. So now acetyl chloride and acetic anhydride, they are basically very reactive and they convert into side product acetic acid. So acetic acid basically will come as a residual solvent. I was mentioning basically many solvents are used in the process and they need to be controlled here because acetic acid is volatile. When I say volatile, need not to be less than 100. Even the toluene, xylene, they come as a residual solvent, even though they have higher boiling point. They are liquid and the solvent mainly, so they can come as a residual solvent. So what are the impurities basically? Process impurity, nitrobenzene, hydroxylamine, 4-aminophenol. These are basically impurities. What are the byproducts? Now, I was mentioning when the hydrogenation is performed in acidic media, here it forms ammonium ion or ammonium ion, and then the 4 side becomes active. Similarly, even the para position can become active. So when paracetamol is synthesized, you expect basically 2-aminophenol as a byproduct. So 2-aminobiphenol also comes as a process impurity, but it comes from byproduct. So what are the basically process impurities? We discussed nitrobenzene, hydroxylamine, 4-aminophenol, and 2-aminophenol. These are basically process impurities. What is the residual solvent? Acetic acid is the residual solvent. If this reaction is performed, sometimes the hydrogenations are performed in alcoholic solvent. So in that case, alcohol will become a process solvent. Now, what are the degradation impurities? The degradation impurity, now if we see this route of synthesis, the process utilizes acidic condition. Doesn't matter how much basically you wash, how much you clean the material, it might carry the manufacture of a synthesized drug substance might carry traces of acid. I request is basically to silent actually while
Sandeep sir, Dr. Sandeep.
Okay, so what I was saying actually, it doesn't matter how much purify you, but the manufactured paracetamol might carry the traces. I am saying ppm, parts per million. Matlab 1 milligram in 1000. In that content, the acidity might come with the paracetamol. And what will happen if you see the structure? It is a basically NHCOCH3. So what happens actually over a period of time? As I said, actually paracetamol or any drug substance will be consumed over a period of year or some time. So what happens either on storage or while transferring, when the temperature goes up and when the slight acidity is there, when the slight moisture is there, what happens? That converts in this hydrolysis takes place and it forms 4-aminophenol. So 4-aminophenol is an intermediate. At the same time, 4-aminophenol is basically degradation product also, degradation impurity also. So 4-aminophenol is not only process impurity, it is again a degradation impurity. So the major focus will be on 4-aminophenol. It's very important to ensure that whatever drug substance is manufactured, they do not have acidity and they do not have much water content. Otherwise, on, even if it is a manufactured good quality paracetamol on day one, it may not be good after storage for, let us say, 1 year, 2 years. So I was just basically trying to summarize basically from the route of synthesis how the process chemist or the chemist will classify impurity for control, because the specification will have all these impurities listed and they will be controlled by certain specification. Now, in this typical case, all these impurities will be controlled by 0.05% because it's a high dose API. So imagine if there are two aspects actually. One, we have to control paracetamol. We have to control paracetamol for these impurities, means the process need to ensure all these impurities are much below 0.05. At the same time, the more important aspect becomes how do we ensure that, how do you analyze and say that it is absent actually. So for that, I think all slides are covered. I will just take few minutes basically how the analysis part is performed, and they are not covered in the what happened. These analyses are typically performed by HPLC. And sometimes it is performed with GC, but mostly for UV absorbing material, like we saw the paracetamol, it involves aromatic ring. So mostly they are analyzed on HPLC. Now, how analytical scientists will see, what they will do actually, they will collect all impurities and they will start developing method for making sure that they are able to test. So one is a challenging how to make. Equally challenging part is basically how to test. Sometimes testing becomes very important aspect. Now in this current crisis of COVID, we all know how testing is important. So similarly, whatever material drug substance is made, all impurities, they are basically method is developed for testing, and after that actually they go for method validation, and then you can say yes, the drug substance is tested and all impurities are below 0.05. Typically, as I said, HPLCs are used, sometimes GC are used. The residual solvents are mainly performed on GC, like this residual solvents. So residual solvents are mainly performed on GC. In residual solvents are also, there are classification like class 1. I hope actually in all academic people are not using benzene. If we are using, please stop using benzene. It's a carcinogenic solvent and it comes in a class 1. So ideally every day, so there is a terminology actually, permitted daily exposure. That means any human body is allowed to expose only that much amount of solvent. So for class 1, typical solvents are benzene, and that's permittable daily exposure is a 2 ppm. That means not more than 2 ppm is allowed for any human body, and it is a highly toxic carcinogenic solvent, and it is not normally encouraged to use benzene in the process. And I'm sure in all academic also benzenes are not more anymore. Another solvent, class 1 solvent, is the ethylene dichloride. That limit is basically 5 ppm. So these are certain 2-3 solvents which are class 1. The class 2 solvents are basically typical solvents like dichloromethane, like methanol. It's a class 2 solvent. They are basically not that toxic, and mainly these solvents are used in the manufacturing process. The class 3 is the most safest solvent. They are basically typical examples are like ethanol, isopropanol, acetone. These are basically class 3 solvents. So every solvent will have their own limit. As I said, benzene has a 2 ppm. If in class 2, if I say methanol, it has a 3000 ppm. So in solvent, in drug substance, they should be controlled by not more than 3000 ppm. Class 3 typical example like alcohol. So all class 3 solvents are allowed up to 5000 ppm. So suppose I'm using ethanol for processing, I need to show control below 5000 ppm. So this is basically, and they are normally tested on GC. Elemental impurities like platinum, they are normally tested on IC, ion chromatography. So when testing will happen, so impurities will be analyzed on HPLC, like nitrobenzene, hydroxylamine, they will be tested on HPLC. Acetic acid will be tested on GC. Acetic acid comes in a class 3, so it should be controlled below 5000 ppm. Platinum will be tested on ion chromatography. The assay, actual content will be performed on HPLC. So these are basically testing parameter, and once that testing is done, and when they are qualifying the ICH limit, then that material is good to go for next step, which is a formulation development. So I would like, just basically this is the part of development. When we are working in the lab, we normally work towards synthesis by considering all these parameters. We normally do parameters, and once this recipe is ready, then as I was mentioning in the first slide, it goes for basic and then lab scale up, and then plant validation. So after these work, the lab works are normally done in milligram scale to gram scale, and sometimes it is basically like 1 or 2 kg scale. So this is basically is controlled in the lab development. So I think I tried to basically give. I just wanted to start this discussion by considering the case study, because it's very important. When we see the case study, then it is a better understood. So I think from my side, actually, these are the steps involved in the development, and it is a very, very challenging job. At the same time, it is a very enjoyable job. So what happens actually, any scientist or group, when they go through entire this scientific process, when they develop a molecule, active substance, ingredients, and ultimately it converts into drug product, and when it goes to market, it gives immense satisfaction to any scientist. That cannot be expressed in word, because it typically involves multiple years of hard work, and then basically it goes into market. So it's a very challenging job, but at the same time, it is a very enjoyable job. You are always challenged by the problem. Sometimes you will have faced the quality issue, as I was saying, the impurity profile. When we typically perform, when we typically design process, it becomes very difficult sometimes to control those impurity to such a small level. Sometimes when you achieve that day one material, sometimes it basically difficult to stabilize the material. So stability becomes very important. The stability comes very important aspect. When the lab work is completed, when you go to scale up, then scale up will have different challenge. Like for example, if I just give example, when we make tea at home, let us say for 2-3 people, we can easily make. But suppose I have to make tea for, let us say, 1 lakh people. Then we cannot make at home. It becomes altogether a different challenge. So the scale up becomes a different aspect and challenging aspect actually. So therefore, I would like to tell my all colleagues, actually I will call colleagues, because future they will will become basically scientists in the industry. Some will basically work in academic. Both are equally challenging job. But when they basically start working in industry, they will experience all these things, and once they deliver some product, it will give immense satisfaction. So I would like to request all my students, or the, let us say, colleagues, future colleagues, to consider basically these aspects. Actually, when you study in the lab, you have to see basically how it gets converted on the commercial scale. It's a lab. When you are doing practical, let us say converting nitrobenzene to meta-nitrobenzene, when I was also student, let us say I was doing this practical in, let us say, BSc or MSc, I never considered the quality aspect. We were basically sometimes doing TLC, but that was also not done properly. So we were only focusing whether that solid is coming, is that melting point is matching. Only these 2 aspects we were seeing. So I would request basically, to extend that to let us say some kind of TLC, because I understand in colleges HPLC may not be available, but it should be from industry, from the college itself. The student should consider and the teacher should consider basically not only the synthesis part, but what are the safety aspect involved, what are the quality aspect involved, how to measure that typically from the beginning, so that students basically are focused from that direction. Then basically when they come to industry, they will extend it. With this, I would like to close my basically talk, because I think whatever I wanted to discuss, I have basically tried to communicate this to students. And I hope actually all the students basically in future will make their career, they will become good scientists, and they will contribute heavily in for development of country. When I say scientists, it not necessarily in industry, in academic also they will contribute in some research and development lab for guiding students for PhD, or in academia for teaching students, let us say from from FEL or BSc, MSc, somewhere will basically go in engineering college teaching. So all are aspect, all are very important when students are taught from beginning actually, and when students are taught to consider safety, quality, and commercial angle from the beginning, it becomes very easy. So I wish all students best luck, and just explore your career actually in the research, not necessarily in industry, not necessarily in academia. Just explore basically whatever you are doing. Think about basically all aspects. So I think I would like to thank again Urmila Madam and the principal, Mr. Principal, for giving me opportunity to discuss these things with the students. And thank you very much actually.
Thank you so much, sir. I request Shweta madam and Naule sir to please moderate the question.
Sandeep,
Yes,
Sandeep,
yes,
principal
yes,
sir is there. Principal sir is there. Ask him to say a few words.
Sir, principal sir, hello.
Hello, Sandeep.
Sir, I request Professor Dr. S.V. Rathod sir, principal of our college, to motivate our student by saying some few words. Over to you, sir.
Good morning, all of you.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning, sir.
And today's resource person, Dr. Parihar, head of the department, Dr. Vimila Maru, my colleagues, and my dear student friends. Today we are very fortunate that we have got the resource persons of Alkem. He's a vice president of R&D sections of Alkem Industries, and really he has covered many aspects which is essential for industrial, you can say, visit. But actually because of this lockdown it is not possible, and that's why we have conducted this virtual platform to make you aware about many aspects of the research, or you can say what scientists can do. Or now see, in the synthesis of paracetamol, because this is a common synthesis we have been studying since last first year, or you can say first year, second year. But when actually you study the aspects as being a scientist, then it is a very difficult task to cover all the concepts. So I think so. I thanks Dr. Parihar and Dr. Urmila Maru and our entire chemistry staff member for organizing this virtual industrial
Thank you, sir.
visit. And I hope everybody is got some experience or knowledge about the synthesis or method which we have studied, because only in your syllabus only synthetic part is there. But when the scientist or researcher, they are doing the research, how many steps they are supposed to follow to bring the medicines or bring the chemicals on the market. So this is a very big task. So with these few words, I congratulate chemistry departments for organizing this virtual platform and making you all aware about the industry. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Principal Sir, for your nice words. Now, Shweta, I request Shweta Dandekar and Navle Sir to please moderate the question if it is there in the chat box. Otherwise, student, please raise your hand and ask the questions.
Hello. Good morning, everyone. I will say thanks to Dr. Parihar for such a wonderful session and to Dr. Maru ma'am for arranging such a nice industrial visit for our students on behalf of chemistry department. I will request students to ask questions to sir if you have some questions in your mind, especially TYBSc students. For those students, we have done synthesis of paracetamol in drugs and dyes practicals. So I will request TYBSc student, please ask your questions because you have already done this experiment in your syllabus, so you have knowledge about it. So sir have given lots of aspects of paracetamol, how to synthesize it. He has discussed the different schemes also. So you please ask your doubts to sir. I will request students. So please ask your doubts.
Don't hesitate, just
Hello,
unmute
sir.
and ask the question. हाँ रोहन, carry on.
हाँ सर, मुझे एक मतलब डाउट था कि कॉमन डाउट था कि इंडस्ट्री में आगे जाना है, मतलब एमएससी में हमको ऐसे एक ही कॉमन सब्जेक्ट रहता है, तो दिस सब्जेक्ट इज बेटर फॉर गोइंग इंडस्ट्री। मींस मुंबई यूनिवर्सिटी में तो एक ही सब्जेक्ट रहता है एमएससी, तो कौन सा ऐसा सब्जेक्ट रहेगा जो फार्मास्यूटिकल इंडस्ट्री में जाके हमें आगे जाके बहुत
think actually if I miss the name Rohan, good to come some questions from the students. I will tell actually, I will answer actually. As I was saying, when the product development comes, there are two sections. In this, there are two sections. One, the synthesis of active substance ingredients. The other aspect is basically how you analyze it. So that is another aspect. The third aspect is basically how you scale up. Now, if I understood your questions, what kind of people, what kind of students basically you get in all three departments. Typically for process chemist, we normally see organic chemist. That the student could be MSc organic chemist or a PhD organic chemist. For analytical part, because that is also equally important, and nowadays it becomes more challenging how we analyze. This slide I mainly cover for the synthesis, but there is another aspect of analyzing actually. So typically the students from analytical department and inorganic department, they normally get good scope in analytical development. Like chemical research department, chemical development, similarly analytical development. So the analytical chemist, inorganic chemist, sometimes physical chemist will come into ATL department. Now at the same time, this is basically research, but at the same time equally challenging. As I was mentioning, I was giving just example. If you have to scale up, it's altogether different challenge. It's a crazily challenging job to manufacture on multi-ton scale. So typically anybody can join basically production department where you basically scale up from lab to multi-ton scale. So there is basically no bar. Mostly you will see the students from engineering background, students from organic chemistry background, students from physical chemistry background, students from inorganic chemistry background, students from analytical chemistry background. If any other subjects are there, all are basically considered for the production also. So when I say broadly, so it is the first prima facie part, but it is not like there are some scientists who are basically organic chemists, but they are working in analytical department. Similarly, there are some MPharm students, they are working in organic chemistry or the chemical development part. So don't worry at this moment, basically where in which department I will go or what subject I will be studying. My only request is basically whatever your liking is. Let us say if you like organic chemistry, study organic chemistry, understand basically basic concept, understand the basic concept basically. Just don't basically go in the book and see this starting material and the product. Just try to understand what is the mechanism, how basically it is actually forming, and try to understand basically other aspect like characterization part, NMR. These are some very good tools actually. So try to learn, if you are organic chemist, the reaction mechanism, how actually the chemistry is going, rather than remembering it. If you are analytical chemist, understand basically whatever your syllabus is, and if you have HPLCs, try to learn that. If you don't have, basically just generate your chromatography knowledge. They basically are same. Only basically if you understand the basic, then when you come to industry, you will realize actually this can be done. Only then you basically try to understand this is the basic, and that is basically the application part. So all students who have a good fundamentals, those students who have basically tried to understand the actual concept, they will basically find easy to adopt industry also. Actually, it is not difficult place to work. So it is just basically application of basic. So if you are pursuing physical chemistry, organic chemistry, analytical chemistry, organic chemistry, it doesn't matter. All these students will get good opportunity in industry. It is just basically different department. I hope I answer your question.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Okay,
sir.
sir.
Thank
Thank you
you,
for
sir.
guidance.
Students, any other questions you have? Anyone is having some other questions? Sir, I have one question to you. Sir, you have used platinum in the reaction. So how many cycles we can reuse the platinum? That means what is the durability of that platinum?
May I know the name actually, because this is a fantastic question actually.
Shweta Dandekar, sir.
Okay, so good question actually. As I was saying,
Jayaprakash, Shweta is our Rathod sir student, PhD student. She is working with us as a
Okay.
professor.
Perfect. So to answer this number of recyclability, it depends upon basically what design of the process is. As I was saying, actually, this I have taken as a case study. We in Alchem are not working in my department. We are not working on paracetamol. I cannot take a case study which we are working because of confidential agreement. But to answer your question, typically number of cycles go from, let us say, 10 to sometimes 30-40 cycle. When I was in Lupin, we were using palladium and we were recycling for n number of time. So every time we were topping up 5 to 10%, and we were using it for let us say n. When I say n, means it goes for basically 10 to 30, 40 cycle. And then once that performance is seized, it goes for regeneration of catalyst. So again, same is used. So typically, if the process design is good, it can be recycled for n number of time without losing its activity. But it all depends basically design. Sometimes what happens, the catalyst tends to get deactivated by presence of sulfur. Sometimes organic amines will deactivate actually. So if this deactivation doesn't take place, if the process is nicely controlled, considering basically poisoning of catalyst, then it can be used. Otherwise, if catalyst poisoning happens, then maybe after third or fourth cycle also you may have to regenerate the catalyst. So it totally depends upon the process. Typically you can go for n number of cycle, but it needs process control accordingly. And suppose your catalyst is poisoned by, let us say, if your structure is having sulfur or organic impurities, then maybe after 7, 8, 10 cycle you may have to regenerate the catalyst.
Okay, thank you so much, sir, for your answer. I think Ambori sir have some question.
Ambore sir, unmute kara. Unmute.
Dr. Jayaprakash, I am Balkrishna Ambore. I am corrosion researcher. So in the corrosion industry, we people are synthesizing some inhibitor, heterocyclic compounds. But being academicians in the colleges, we are not, or the research departments, we are not getting that much of facilities what you are getting in the industry. So, is there some small skill or the small techniques so that we should synthesize some organic compounds, some drugs, especially? Can you suggest some smaller techniques for the characterization purposes so that the beginner, like our students also, can synthesize some different kind of heterocyclic compounds? Because characterization, if you go for the characterization HPLC, NMR, UVVs, that takes a lot of money also. So is it possible on the institute level to sustain the expenses in the small scale, in small amount?
Okay, I understood your question. It's a good question because you would like to accommodate in colleges.
Right.
It can be done actually. I will now take entire process in this case. How to synthesize? Of course, I will recommend basically small round bottom flask. Maybe Dr. Urmila Madam and Dr. Rathod can help actually, because there are many quick fit round bottom flask, small round bottom flask are available. The magnetic stirrers are available. Even the overhead stirrers are available. They are not very expensive. So the synthesis part, the small scale synthesis part can be done in glass round bottom flask with quick fit assembly. Now coming to characterization part, actually, what I will say, I understand recording NMR and all that are expensive, but what I will say actually, in market, there are some standard available. That small standard can be procured, or let us say one time NMR is done, that standard sample is prepared. Once that standard sample is prepared, you can record IR. If IR is also not possible, then I will say run a TLC. What happens if you run TLC in multiple solvent phase, then you can basically monitor by retention time. So what you need to do is basically get some standard sample. The standard samples are available either from Sigma Aldrich, or you prepare once and characterize once by NMR and make it standard. Make it, store it, let us say 10 to 15 gram sample. And once you are giving practical to students, they will make that heterocyclic compound, and either that can be compared by TLC, by a good TLC system, by measuring retention time.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Over to Navle, sir.
Yes, madam, boliye.
Sir, do you have any question?
No, madam, very nice event, very nice event, very knowledgeable event. Thank you.
Hello, I think Mehzabin, you have any question? Please ask.
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, I have one which is
Mehzabin, you can write down in the chat box.
ma'am, am I audible?
अच्छा बोलो.
You write down in the chat box because you have network issue. Anybody else having any question? Meanwhile, TY MSc students, our PG students can ask some question.
I think
They are
I'm
going to become
extending.
postgraduates now.
Madam Samruddhi is asking question. Samruddhi, ask better question.
Samruddhi, bolo.
Samruddhi Tambe, please ask the question.
If you don't want to ask, you can write down in the chat box.
Hello. Hello, ma'am.
Yes, beta.
Yeah. Samruddhi is asking that other than paracetamol, which other drugs are manufactured by your industry, so Alkem?
1 second. I would like to say basically we we are not manufacturing paracetamol in our API plant. As a confidential thing, we are not supposed to basically discuss basically what molecule we synthesize at our industry. I only took paracetamol as a case study. Therefore, I have written case study.
Absolutely.
So please understand that aspect actually.
Yes.
We make multiple drug substances for let us say for different indication, but I cannot basically discuss those in open forum. That is why I took paracetamol actually.
Right.
Why paracetamol is banned in US? I don't think it is banned in US. I don't think it is a ban in US. It's a safe drug actually. Only thing is it should not be consumed beyond maximum daily dose.
Sir, one more question I would like to ask, that general question.
Yeah, please.
Sir, this is very tedious and very time consuming process, the synthesis, especially formulation, and so many steps are involved, what you demonstrated or explained right now. Sir, in this pandemic situation, COVID-19, the people are synthesizing some drugs or like that something. But the time what they are getting for the manufacturing, is it sufficient? Because that takes some time, lot of time. So in short span of time, the vaccines are synthesized. So are there some limitations or drawbacks in such a small time they are manufactured and they are testing among the people? Please.
Vaccine development is altogether different aspect, and it's like new chemical entity and vaccine development altogether different aspect. They take time, but as you himself said, it's a pandemic situation. So in pandemic situation, what happens? The decisions are made by considering what is the more riskier. Not taking vaccine is a more riskier, or taking vaccine with limited study is more riskier. So typically any development, I'll just, because you asked this question, if you ask innovator, we are generic there. We basically manufacture drugs, medicines which are already existing, right? But we basically followed maybe the safer approach to manufacture, maybe novel approach to manufacture, but they exist. If you ask typically to innovators, innovator company, it typically takes some time, 10 to 15 years to enter into market. So you can understand it is a what big time consuming process is. It goes through rigorous clinical studies and all that. So it's a tough job. Vaccine development, in my opinion, takes typically 5 to 6 years, sometimes 10 years also. But it all depends what is the more riskier. In such a pandemic situation, what happens actually, the scientists basically, of course, give more focus. At the same time, whatever preliminary data are there, the decisions are basically made on that. So because I am not involved in the vaccine development process, and because it will be all secret matter for all developers, but I can understand their condition actually, because we are also scientists. So it is a choice between, which is a more riskier. That is why basically these steps are taken. Now, here actually we saw actually how much concern was raised on Bharat Biotech vaccine, because they were basically given approval without having basically significant data. But what is choice actually? We have to go for a vaccine which is done preliminary study data, and if in preliminary study it looks safe, and then people are basically going ahead. It can backfire, but they must have generated sufficient data to make sure that it is at least not let us say unsafe to patients. That much data they must have generated. That is, I'm 100% sure. How much it is effective, efficacy, that is a matter of basically some more study. But of course, if they have launched, our regulatory bodies have launched, they must have generated, they must have reviewed it thoroughly, and then only they must have given approval. It is choice between, what is more riskier.
Oh, thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Sir, one student have a question regarding like
Shweta,
Hello.
Shweta,
Yes, sir.
Dr. Jaiprakash,
Yes.
this is the Principal Rathod. I want to add something in the Dr. Ambore's questions. Now, see, this pandemic situation has started almost 1 year before. Tuleka Prajapati, please mute yourself. Now, we all are aware that this pandemic situation has started almost 1 year before, and our entire world was facing a tremendous problems. And the industry and government offices, those who are working there, day and night, the scientists, they were working whole night. That means 24/7 they are working to generate the vaccinations for this corona or pandemic situation. Because for the industry, many people are there, and that is a task in front of them to generate the vaccination. Now that means these people, they have to work day and night for the creations of the vaccines. At the same time, they are testing and then they are bringing out. Suppose this is a challenge in front of the industry as well as the scientists. If you take the challenge, then I think so anything is possible to create not only vaccine for this corona, but at the same time, anything, if it is there, if you want to generate any substance or any drug, irrespective of the disease, so you have to put in your service or efforts for the generation. Then and then only it is possible. Otherwise, it becomes a very difficult. I hope Ambore sir and other member, they have understood what I mean to say.
I think Dr. Rathod, you said rightly actually. In this pandemic, what happens actually, all pharmaceutical industries have made sure that there are no shortage of medicine actually. In spite of all lockdown actually, I'll tell you, I work in Gujarat, so I can say only about the Gujarat. We have not closed even a single day. And just to tell you actually, how much the scientists are focused and the companies are focused, just to tell you, in last 1.5 years, I have not taken a single leave actually. So in spite of all this lockdown, people basically are focused on manufacturing to make sure not only COVID vaccine, because there are many medicines are required and the patients are not having any shortage. So, it's during this pandemic time, I would like to really appreciate all pharma industry colleagues, not only the scientists, but the shop workers basically, from shop workers to business people, the people at the side, people in the market. So they have worked day and night actually, not only scientists, I'm saying, manufacturers also, because not only synthesizing, but manufacturing is also equally challenging. So what you said is 100% right. The response in pandemic has to be different. Then it doesn't basically day and night, it doesn't count. It has to be given 100% all the time. So what you said, Dr. Rathod, is correct. During pandemic, the response will be different. That duration can be cut short. So yes, something can be basically minimize the duration of the development.
Shweta, more questions are there in the chat box.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Rathod sir. Thank you, Jaiprakash sir. Next question is from Maizabeen, that she wants to know that some raw materials, some byproducts are generated in the production of the chemicals that can be used as a raw material for other synthesis. Sir, is it possible?
Yes, it is possible. Why not actually? For example, like we saw in this synthesis, 2 isomer, the paracetamol is 4 isomer. The 2 isomer are ortho 2 aminophenol is basically byproduct at intermediate stage. So that can be used for some other application, not only in pharma industry, but for some other application. There are specialty chemical companies. There are multiple type of organization. So the byproducts, maybe if they have some application, they can be used. I'm sure here 2 aminophenol will have some application in other industries. So 100% right, that byproduct can be basically recovered, purified, and again it can be given in the market for different application.
Okay, sir. Thank you. The next question is, sir, can beginner enters into the R&D section of research industries, or they need some specialization or something like that? Or with the less experience, student can enter or get experience of R&D?
See, as I said, my R&D typically have qualification like people like from postdoc to PhD to some colleagues are basically MSc organic chemistry. Normally in our R&D department, we welcome students who have MSc organic chemistry or MSc in any other chemistry, let us say analytical chemistry, physical chemistry, or inorganic chemistry. That qualification is good enough. We sometimes basically take MPharm students in our analytical department also. So the master degree is good enough actually, but during interview process, we basically evaluate candidate for their readiness and eagerness for science, eagerness to explore something. So once somebody is having master degree, I think that is good enough basically to explore career in any research department. And if students want to pursue higher studies, then it is always welcome.
Sir, one more question, that one of the students is asking why paracetamol is banned in the US.
It is already answered. It is
Sir, I have
already
answered.
answered.
Yeah, sir, I have answered.
I think
already.
it is not banned actually. Paracetamol cannot be banned anywhere actually. Maybe there could be restriction on dose per day. So maybe he might have found some article, but it need to be verified. Normally paracetamol will not be banned. And you will be surprised actually, because I was in United Kingdom for some time actually. The doctors there don't prescribe antibiotics. They give only paracetamol. When I was in UK, suppose if I have a fever or throat infection, they will not give antibiotic directly. Like in India, immediately doctors recommend antibiotic, or sometimes the patient himself takes antibiotic. But in UK, it is not possible. They will not give you antibiotic. They will give only paracetamol. So in my opinion, whatever, to best of my knowledge, paracetamol is not banned anywhere. And I just basically again would like to highlight, I took paracetamol as a basically only case study, just to basically give better clarity. If I don't take any case study, I think it will be difficult to understand. So I just wanted to connect with students in a better way so that they understand the process. So my request to all colleagues is basically understand the process involved, what are the steps involved, and extend it to other molecules also. So the paracetamol is just example, but it is basically, as I said, it's only case study. The process need to be understood, and what are the steps involved that need to be understood.
One more question is there, Shweta.
Hello. Yes, ma'am.
One more question is there from Sai. Can you read out?
Yeah. Yes, ma'am. Just give me a second, ma'am.
Yes.
Yeah. The API is very useful raw material in pharmaceutical industry. Also India is called pharmacy of the world. Then where India is lacking behind for the production of API?
Fantastic question, actually. I think I really appreciate a student for asking this question. Of course, India is very good in basically formulation. For ANDA filing, India is fantastic. India is good in API manufacturing also, but not as good as basically China. There are multiple reasons for that actually, which could be difficult to answer in this forum, because it all comes from basically regulation in India and the regulation in China. So China is more open and they have more open system, and therefore they are basically doing business of API is relatively cheaper. In India, it is relatively expensive, but that need to be compensated by innovative technology. So the question is basically part Yes, correct. Actually, the India is not as good as China for basically making active pharmaceutical ingredients. It is basically better than China for drug product, but not API. But the answer is basically, the India slightly lags behind when it comes to basically taking scale up matters, because they typically operate in multiple ton, and India typically operate in multiple kgs. There are different regulations in both countries. They have their own policy. India have their own policy. In China, the pollution control is
हेलो संदीप,
हाँ सर, उसका नेटवर्क,
उनका हाँ कुछ तो नेटवर्क का प्रॉब्लम हो गया है.
he has given the
Anyway, we
answer,
can continue.
but he has given
Continue
the
with the
answer.
program, Sandeep.
Can we wait to come, Jayaprakash sir?
sorry.
हाँ, carry on sir.
हाँ, he has joined. He has joined.
Hello.
हाँ जयप्रकाश बोलो.
So, are there any other questions actually?
I think no now.
Hello, no more questions, ma'am. Thank
No,
you.
no.
Thank you, sir, for such a knowledgeable and thought-provoking question-answer session. Over to you, Sandeep, sir.
Thank you, Shweta madam. Now I request Amburish sir to propose a vote of thanks. Amburish sir, please unmute yourself. Over to you, sir.
Yeah.
हाँ सर फीडबैक सर स्टूडेंट का फीडबैक
Students are there.
या
Yeah,
Who is
students want to give the feedback.
Yeah,
निशिता विवेक आदित्य प्लीज टॉक
Now let's sir call one by one.
Even Rohan is ready to give the feedback. He is there.
ओके नंबर वाइज फर्स्ट रोहन
हाँ, please call out और थोड़ा थोड़ा बोलो, ज्यादा मत बोलो.
रोहन बेटा
यस सर, थैंक यू सर. आपने मतलब अपने इंडस्ट्री के बारे में बताया हम लोग को, बिकॉज हम लोग ने स्टडी में पढ़ा था, हमारे सिलेबस में है, लेकिन हम लोग ने इतना डीपली नहीं पढ़ा था जितने आपने एक्सप्लेन किया. सो थैंक यू फॉर सच इंफॉर्मेशन.
Rohan, I would like to say, when I was of your age, I was knowing only half of you. So don't worry, you are doing fantastic actually. I must say the current generation students are really more knowledgeable. When I was of your age, I was knowing absolutely zero. So fantastic actually, the kind of questions actually the student asked. I'm just basically trying to understand. When I was of that age, these questions I was not thinking also. So congratulations to students actually, and this the teaching staff actually. Teaching staff must have basically made sure that students think in that direction. So really good job actually. Thinking these questions are also not easy. So always asking questions is a good job. So fantastic, and thank you very much for asking such questions.
सेकंड निशिता
येस सर. गुड आफ्टरनून सर. थँक्यू सो मच सर. तुम्ही या लॉकडाऊन मध्ये सुद्धा वेळात वेळ काढून आम्हाला इतकी इम्पॉर्टंट इन्फॉर्मेशन दिली. खूप काही नवीन गोष्टी ऐकायला आणि शिकायला मिळाल्या. ही इंडस्ट्रियल व्हिजिट जरी व्हर्च्युअल असली तरी ती तितकीच इन्फॉर्मेटिव्ह होती. मी आमच्या कॉलेजच्या आणि सर्व स्टुडंट्सच्या वतीने तुमचे आभार मानते. याचबरोबर मी आपल्या कॉलेजचे तसेच केमिस्ट्री डिपार्टमेंट मधल्या सर्व टीचरचे आणि प्रिन्सिपल डॉक्टर राठोड सर यांचे आभार मानते. तुम्ही सगळे नेहमीच आम्हा स्टुडंटसाठी करिअर गायडन्स सेमिनार वेबिनार्स अरेंज करत असता. तुम्ही सगळे आमच्यासाठी इतके एफर्ट्स घेताय त्यासाठी थँक्यू सो मच.
निशिता, मला पण तेवढाच आनंद झाला ऍक्च्युली जेव्हा मी इंटरॅक्ट करत होतो स्टुडंट बरोबर किंवा टीचर्स बरोबर. मला पण तेवढाच आनंद आला ऍक्च्युली, आणि इट इज इक्वली लर्निंग फ्रॉम मी ऑल्सो. सो थँक्यू व्हेरी मच. आणि it's basically job of all industry people to interact with the students and tell them basically what is basically they are going to face in coming future. So मला पण तेवढंच म्हणजे आनंद वाटला ऍक्च्युली.
थँक्यू सर.
विवेक बेटा
थैंक यू सर, आपने कीमती टाइम निकाल के हमें गाइड किया. एंड थैंक यू मैम, आपने वर्चुअल अरेंज किया हमारे लिए। थैंक यू सो मच।
Thank you. Thank you.
आदित्य कुडे, आदित्य कुडे.
Aditya, are you going to speak?
नमिता मेजबीन.
नवले सर, जिनको बोलना है उनका ही नाम बोलो, otherwise we will give the vote of thanks.
Okay, madam. Okay. Okay.
So, madam,
Has been disconnected.
ma'am, I would
Aditya is
thank
saying something. Aditya is saying
Yes.
something. Bolo,
Yes.
Aditya.
ma'am. First of all, good afternoon to each and everyone. And I would like to thank to the chemistry department for organizing such an informative lecture. And the lecture was very informative for us. Thank you for a great lecture, and I really learned a lot. It was a pleasure to attend this lecture, and I really enjoyed it. And thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. I think Professor Navle, हो गया ना अभी?
Yes, madam. Yes, yes.
Yes, ma'am. Now, Ambore sir will propose the vote of thanks.
Yeah. Thank you, Dr. Main sir. This gives me an immense pleasure to give the vote of thanks. I, Balkrishna Ambore, behalf of our chemistry department, Bhavan Hazarimal Somani College of Arts and Science, and Jairam Das Patel College of Commerce and Management Studies. Really, with a great enthusiastically, Dr. Jaiprakash Parihar sir put forward his his experience in the industry, in the drug industries. And sir also narrated and answer very nicely all the difficulties, all the questions, not only by the students, by the student side, but the academician or the teacher sides also. So, sir, in spite of your very busy schedule in the industry in this pandemic situation, especially today, this Sunday, rest day, you consume your time among our students, and you encourage us, not only student, but the researcher, those who are doing the PhD research, and teachers as well. So in the near future also, we are expecting the help, your your help in near future also.
Guidance.
So, thank you very much. Thank you very much, sir. And not last but the least, not least but the last, I would like to thanks to our principal sir, Dr. S.V. Rathod, and head of department, Dr. Urmila Maru. And I also thanks to all the technicians, especially the Bindu madam. She has also consumed the time, given us the time. All the students in the maximum number, they remain present and they enjoyed each and everything. Thank you very much. Over to Dr. Sandeep sir.
Thank you so much, Ambore sir. Now, a small announcement. The feedback link I will post on the group. Everybody, please, without fail, submit the feedback. The link will be open for 1 hour. So within 1 hour, you have to submit the feedback, and this feedback is very important. That itself is a proof of your attendance. That's all. Maru ma'am, can we end? It's over.
Yes, yes, yes. Thank you, Dr. Jaiprakash.
I will call to Bindu ma'am to end the meeting.
Yeah. Yes, sir. I will end.
Yeah, yes. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Jaiprakash sir, and thank you, principal.
Thank you.
Thank you, principal sir. Thank you all.